You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This week we are talking about the science fiction action film The Meg, directed by Jon Turtletaub and released August 10th, 2018.
Ooh, I love when we cover something that's somewhat recent.
Yeah. And of course we are recording The Meg around this time, even though timing's a little off or a little wonky when you hear this, but close enough. It is, quote unquote, mainly Shark Week.
Yes, it is. When we're recording this at Shark Week.
Yes.
They moved it. Like, I had charted this out and planned it out really well. I was so excited and then realized it was like a couple weeks earlier. So I guess, yeah, we're going to, it should be out the week after. And this is going to be
Close
a real,
enough.
it's going to be a real fun discussion.
Yes. But we love shark movies, of course, as you heard when we've covered Deep Blue Sea before, and especially one of our favorite episodes we've ever done was Jaws. And of course, we had an incredible, amazing special guest for that. And so with Shark Week, we have to bring that amazing special guest back. Please welcome back to Run for Your Lives, my Strange Indeed co-host, Rima.
Yay! Hey, guys. Thank you so much for thank you for having me.
So glad to have you with us this week. I couldn't imagine recording this episode without you because, as Peg said, it's Shark Week. And The Meg is just such a fun movie to talk about that I knew we'd have such a great conversation. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah. Well, my feelings would have been hurt had you guys not had me on for this one, for Shark Week and for The Meg, because I am a shark fanatic, completely obsessed. And so, yeah, we are in the middle of Shark Week right now as we're recording. Maybe the podcast won't be released at that time, but we are recording in the middle of Shark Week. So that is awesome timing.
Yes.
So, yeah.
We are. Yeah. I love all things sharks. I just think it's the coolest thing. Every time I see something, though, Rima, I think of you. It's like, oh, I got to send this to Rima. Look at this. There was some diorama. Weird.
You sent me some cool things.
Yeah. It always pops up on my feed, and I'm just like, oh, I have to share this with Rima because it's so cool.
And I love it. Thank you.
You just never know what's going to pop up. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's been some pretty cool stuff. I had no idea that even existed. So
I know,
yeah, it's been amazing.
There are so many creative people out there that just come up with these cool things. So it's really so much fun. Yes. Yeah. Keep doing it. I want to see more cool shark related things on my feed. So keep doing it.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, I'm very excited to jump into this movie and especially have Rima here. This is going to be a lot of fun. But before we get into all of the fun conversation, Daphne, why don't you set us up with some fun behind the scenes info on this movie?
I will do that. There are some interesting things that I'll point out now, and then some other things I'll point out later in the production notes that we do near the end of the episode. So this movie was filmed in Auckland, New Zealand, which I know is a place that the three of us all want to go and visit someday. New Zealand. We've talked about it. It was directed, as Pake said, by Jon Turtletaub. He actually replaced Eli Roth, who left the project due to creative differences. And there are some other things surrounding that I'll point out later. It is loosely based on the book Meg, a Novel of Deep Terror by Steve Alten, which was the first of an 8-book series that Alten has written. It was a co-production between the U.S. and China. The first ever Megalodon-based film to be released in theaters. The budget was $130 million. It grossed in the worldwide box office $530 million. It is 113 minutes. Pake, tell us, bring on your wonderful synopses.
All right. This synopsis brought to you by IMDb. But I like this one. Yeah. A group of scientists exploring the Marianas Trench encounter the largest marine predator that has ever existed, the megalodon.
Ooh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Very large. This one was 75 feet. At least that's what I had read when I first was putting things together for some of the production notes and some of my notes.
Yeah, keep that thing down deep where it belongs. That's what I say.
Don't want to deal with that.
No.
If you're going to go out and do deep water exploration, please be careful not to leave an opening for one to swim up and hang out with us, because though we really love them, we prefer they stay where they belong, which is unknown and in the depths of the ocean, far, far away.
Keep it in its own ecosystem.
There you go.
We're set. Thanks.
Absolutely.
All right. Which I do have one question then. I'm going to have one complaint about this movie that comes up just at the beginning.
Oh my goodness, right at the start you're going to have a
I know.
complaint.
Before we get into points and stuff.
Oh goodness.
So it's locked away in its own little thing and it can't get out. Then what happened at the beginning? How did that submarine get attacked?
Yeah, thank you. I have the same question. And it
must be the same thing, but it has been stuck there and can't get out until now when we released it.
Yeah, because they broke the seal, I'm gonna say, and left an opening for it to surface, and not really surface, but at least breach that surface of that ice layer, whatever the hell they were calling it. So yeah, what the hell attacked them in the beginning when we were introduced?
I have a theory. I think the submarine was in a place it wasn't supposed to go and was hanging out down there. And because it blew up down there and Jonas was able to escape to get back up to the surface, when he was escaping, it wasn't a big enough, I can't think of the word I want, but basically it didn't cause a big enough disturbance to allow for the megalodon to come up. So it wasn't until later, when Jonas went to rescue his ex-wife, that they caused this issue. I can't remember. Thermocline, I guess, is the layer that the megalodon broke through to get up. And it could only do that because of Jonas and the size of the rescue vehicle he had. I'm not really sure. Peg, I don't think I can answer your question. That's the only answer I have. I'm not sure it's adequate enough.
I'm just happy that my main complaint, like the only things I really don't like about this movie, is right at the beginning, and then it kind of everything after that like makes it fine. I'm like, okay, we can, if we just ignore the beginning, like opening 5 minutes, we can move on to other stuff, because like that, and then I was like, okay, what happened to that submarine? Because like, if we're supposed to be led to believe that all these dead bodies and like injured people are because of the shark, but if they're inside the submarine, then actually what happened to them? Because
they died.
I don't think it like walked inside and was like, oh, I'm going to bite you and get you and beat you, and then I'm just going to see myself out and then attack you later. Like nothing. How would they be hurt inside the submarine?
Well, I think it hit the submarine, which caused a jerking reaction, which caused
that could be just
the damage. Yeah, the crash, and then the sub stayed where it was because
it just looked like it looked like they focused on people who were like, which maybe it's just being like sliced by like metal pieces and stuff. Yeah, but it looked like I was like, do these people have bite marks on them? Because that doesn't make sense.
No, I don't believe any. Okay, so any more than I think certain things happened during the Jurassic Park, The Lost World, with that ship with the T-Rexes.
Right.
I don't think that the megalodon sprouted legs and climbed inside the submarine and started chewing people up. Because if it did, that would be a very different movie, and it would have been on another channel and not released in theaters.
Yeah. All right. I can chalk up that damage and stuff to where just a submarine like wreck the wreckage.
Yeah.
How it got there to attack it in the first place, that still don't know.
I think the sub went too far down, but that's my own opinion.
They didn't do very well of explaining it, but I think that as much as what I have that question and I'm, trying to understand, I also, on the other hand, have to be like, you're watching a movie about a prehistoric shark. So I guess I'll have to let that go. So, but I did have the same question.
It's at the very beginning and you're like, what? But that, and then it's like, okay, just move on from that. And everything else is fun.
We're just going to have to carry on and not think too hard about it and not have to care too much. So
exactly.
Yeah. Because it's still fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
This was a fun summer movie to begin with. I think it was really enjoyable to watch overall. Not everything is going to make sense. It's okay. Grab your popcorn, watch the movie, relax. It's fun.
Exactly.
I saw this one in theaters when it first came out. It was a very fun.
That was fun. Movie. Fun theater movie.
No, now we're back to going to theaters again, so that's really fun.
Yay!
Yeah, I'm mostly back. I still have only been back for Quiet Place because there's a few other ones I would like to have gone to, but the theaters aren't open as late as they used to be, and I don't do normal times. That's not me.
You're always at like the midnight show, I know.
Yeah, I always go to like 11 o'clock or midnight. Yeah. And they don't do that anymore. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll just wait.
Maybe they'll get there.
Yeah, I think they will.
Yeah. All right. Well, we get off our tangents and stuff a little bit. Let's talk about all the stuff that we do really like about this movie. And of course, with a guest, we always like to do a top 3, make things feel a little better. So Rima, as our esteemed guest, go ahead and start with your number 3. We'll let you kick it off.
Thank you. I'll be honored to get the top 3 start off. So I want to start with just, we were talking in general about just having, that it's just a fun summer movie, right? Get your popcorn, like I said, Daphne, and just sit back and have a good time. And that's what I liked about this movie and really appreciated it, is it didn't really try to be anything other than what it was. It wasn't trying to be Jaws, because look, nothing ever will be, right? I mean,
no, it
at least for me, Jaws to me is like one of my number 1 movies of all time. And I mean, I'm a cinephile, man. I love a ton of movies, but that is definitely at the tops for me. So nothing will ever be, but it wasn't trying to be Jaws. It wasn't, trying to be some, super serious kind of movie. It was campy, and they knew that, and they had fun with it. So, but I mean, they did try to take some things from history, some elements, and make it entertaining. The megalodon, did it exist? Yeah, we know that it was a true prehistoric shark. There are the big shark jaws, right? That they have I think it like a skeletal. I know sharks aren't made of skeleton, but you know what I mean. Like they have proof that this thing existed. So they took something that did exist at one time. It's not completely made up. Does it still exist? I'd say no. At least I hope it doesn't somewhere. That we haven't explored yet. But to that point, there is also a vast part of the ocean that is unexplored. Yeah. There are places we cannot go, and we are still, discovering more and more places in the ocean. We are all the time discovering new creatures, all the time, and also things that we thought were extinct. Like, oh, hey, we thought this was extinct, but oh, look, it pops up. So, you look at it and you're like, well, yeah, is that likely to happen? No. But, there are elements here that aren't so far-fetched that you're like, oh, well, this is just stupid. Well, it was just a big fun movie. And I like that they didn't try to take themselves too seriously. So that's what I appreciated. And that's what I like. I want something that I can just sit back, have a good laugh at, be entertained. I love sharks. So of course I'm into it. And that's what I got. So.
Awesome. Yeah. It's lots of fun.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. Just a good I like somewhere I can just turn off my brain for a little while, Yeah,
I think we all need that once in a while. Just be able to sit down with, it's like getting reacquainted. It's like getting reacquainted with an old friend. You know what you're going to be watching. You know how it's going to make you feel. And there are just those times that you want to feel that way. And so sitting back and watching a movie like this takes you to a place that you need to be in at the time.
Yep,
absolutely.
I agree. Sometimes you just like to see big monsters being destructive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
in whatever form.
On this podcast, we do it a lot.
Yeah. Say I love monster movies. You know, all of the monster movies. I love them. I think they're great. You know, got Jurassic Park. You know, Godzilla. You know, this. I mean, it's. You know, I'm all for it. So I like watching serious things too. I like things that are serious or drama or, you know, whatever, and things that are kind of heavy and deep and dark and things like that. But sometimes I just want to just sit back and just be entertained. Mm-hmm. Don't want to think too hard, get a good couple laughs. You know, there were some good funny lines and, you know, funny moments and things like that happened. So it was entertaining. It was funny. You know, had a big shark, made my day. I was all for it.
Yeah. Actually had two big sharks.
Yes,
two big. Well, lots of sharks and two Megs, basically.
Two freaking Megs. Yeah. There was
so great.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my number 3.
Awesome. All right, Daphne, what is your number 3?
Okay. So this one, my top 3 are kind of all over the place, but my number 3, I think this movie wouldn't have been what it was without the amazing Rainn Wilson. And I know Jason Statham is the star of this film, but Rainn Wilson as Jack Morris killed me. The way his character was, and when you first meet him, you think that he might be a good guy. I mean, he seems like he's a big kid with tons of money, and he's doing all these things throughout, you know. You keep going through the movie and you think, oh, yeah, I think he's a decent guy. And then you start to realize, nope, he is not a decent guy. He lies to people, tells them that they're evacuating. He's alerted the authorities. He's sorry for their losses. And, you know, he came there to celebrate and now he's mourning with them. And he thanks Jonas for saving their asses. And then his true character comes out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I would like paint him as a villain necessarily. I still think, I mean, he's a decent guy. I think a lot of the things that he said, he meant, other than saying he was, you know, had alerted other, you know, national governments and stuff. That was a lie.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it was like his way of just kind of getting the crew, the Man on One crew, to be okay with like dropping it for their own safety. So I think he had good intentions in that.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think was really bad about what he did, and it was a lot of selfishness from him, is knowing that he was the guy who funded all of this stuff and everything could come back to him. That he didn't want to alert all of these like nations and stuff because they're going to say, oh, well, you're the one that funded them to go down there and explore. And then it's your fault that they opened up this barrier. So we're going to sue you for everybody who got killed or injured or blah, blah, blah. And he doesn't want that. So I think that's the only negative aspect of his character, was that he chose to lie in order to save his own ass legally and try to take it into his own hands.
Well, because he gets on the chopper and the first thing he's talking about is, oh, you know, if another person gets hurt, it's all these potential lawsuits and there's been casualties. And then he tells everyone to relax because it's going to be fun because he wants to go kill the Meg. It's like, I don't know. But I enjoyed his portrayal of this because whatever he's in, he always gives it 100%. We covered Cooties like a month or 2 ago, and he was one of the best parts of that movie because,
absolutely.
Oh my God, the laughing that happened as a result of his dialogue and mannerisms and his character
he's the kind of actor who, no matter what kind of role he's playing in something, he's gonna steal the scene.
He's
a I mean, who's the most quoted character in The Office?
Dwight Schrute.
There's a reason for that. He's just magnetic. Yeah.
It would have been so great though if at some point one of the characters in the movie would have looked at him and said, "Dwight, you ignorant slut."
That would have been amazing. Or if someone had just looked at the camera like Jim used to after he said something.
Yeah.
I loved that. I actually have a Dwight Schrute bobblehead on my shelf back there.
Nice.
Because, he's just hilarious.
He was definitely great as the, you know, kind of eccentric billionaire in this movie. And it's funny because I was thinking about him. I know you guys just covered like Placid, which is again one of my favorites. I was just telling Pake the other night when we were recording, when he was talking about it, that it's definitely a favorite of mine. But we've got an eccentric billionaire in that movie. And then like Jurassic Park's got one, and then Deep Blue Sea's got one. And it's funny to see like the different types of characters that they have, but that seems to be like a consistent kind of theme, throughout some of these big disaster movies. You've got some big billionaire who's, maybe or maybe not responsible for what's happening, and, where that takes you in the story. So, but yeah, he was great. I love Rainn Wilson. He's great.
There's one in every movie, I swear. Yeah. And you really do get a chance to see how different people pull off the same or similar character. Mm-hmm. And I think he did such a great job. And so he's my number 3.
Awesome.
So Pake, why don't you tell us what your number 3 is?
All right, my number 3 is going a little deeper on this, a little bit deeper. Didn't even mean that.
Oh my God. Here we go. Here we go.
But no, the kind of running theme of sacrifice that we get in this movie, I think was really cool. I mean, the movie starts with Jonas making a choice to sacrifice other people instead of himself, his closest, crewmates and this rescue team. But he does it in order to get himself, the rest of that crew, and the survivors to safety. And it was a really hard call for him, but like, that's the leader that he is. And even though Heller wants to give him shit for it constantly, like, he stands by, it was a hard decision. Those were my friends, and I did what I had to do. And we find out throughout the movie, I mean, like, he still definitely struggles with that. It's not like he was just able to cut that clean and be like, nope, that's fine. Like, it bothers him. I mean, he retired after this situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, he gets forced back into it. But it's really cool that you see sacrifice come up so many other times. And even though his is really the only one in that kind of regard where he's sacrificing other people, but then you see a lot of people being able to sacrifice themselves. Toshi sacrifices himself in a similar situation, the same thing. He has to close that hatch because they all die if they're still connected when something happens. And so he, puts his note to his wife in the pocket of the wall and says, all right, you guys go. And it was definitely emotional because you can even see Jonas being like, again, the same situation when they get back up and he's being blamed for it. That you're the guy who leaves people behind. Mm-hmm. It's like he chose to do that.
Yeah.
And so it still follows Jonas even when it was Toshi's decision. But then we continue on, Jonas kind of has different aspects of that where he chooses to sacrifice. Somebody else chooses to sacrifice and he kind of gets the blame for it still in some regard. And then there's an option for sacrifice and he chooses not to let it happen. And that is when Suyin is in the cage and the Megalodon is trying to swallow the cage. Because it does hold up. Jax is very confident in her equipment, and I like that. And I mean, it works out. I mean, that cage is not breaking. Yeah, which Suyin says, well, that's the problem, is because he's swallowing it. Jonas dives down there, and Suyin looks at him and says, her equipment's failing on her. Says, you're gonna die. Other people are gonna die. Just leave me. And he doesn't. He makes sure, in that regard, to put himself at risk. And saves her. So we've seen him run that gambit of sacrifice, whether sacrificing others for the greater good, having someone sacrifice themselves for him, and then not letting somebody make that sacrifice.
Well, he did make a promise to a little girl.
He did.
Yeah.
And so I like that. And then, of course, there's 2 other ones. I mean, Jonas, then the final battle, he's ready to sacrifice himself. So there's that. He ends up surviving because obviously, put Jason Statham in an action movie and let him die in the end. But he was willing to in that final fight with that last Megalodon. He was basically saying goodbye as he went after it. And so we saw all that. And then Heller, the one that gave him all the shit for sacrificial stuff, ends up sacrificing himself for Jax, which was a really great scene. Unfortunately, it was right at the time where they needed a doctor.
Yes.
But,
yes.
Not a good time to lose the doc. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just thought that them repeatedly bringing up the theme of sacrifice in different aspects and looking at it from different points of view, specifically with Jonas in mind. I really liked that. So that was my number 3.
That is great.
Good one.
So Rima, what do you have as a number 2?
My number 2. Well, since you've been talking about the supremely awesome Jason Statham, I'll just go follow into that because he's actually my number 2. I love Jason Statham. I could probably watch just about anything that he's in. That's probably not saying much. He's a pretty hot hell of a guy. He's, just got that tough, brooding, action type guy that he is. So, coming from me, probably not, too much credibility there, but hey. But I do like that he brings, to this movie, he's got like a good mixture of like badassery during the action scenes. And then he's got the humor too in some of like the exposition scenes, which is fun. I like that he can kind of balance that a little bit. And it's good to see that from him.
Yeah. And then all of his scenes with Mei Ying are just stupidly adorable.
Oh my God.
I can't stand it. No, it's so cute. He's so good with her.
Oh my God.
Yeah, those two had some really great and cute chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all of those scenes with her were just amazing. And yeah, super, super cute. But yeah, he's essentially the superhero, in this movie. And I think it's just great. He does the super dangerous dive. He swims into open water to shoot a tracker on the shark. He does this free dive to save, his potential love interest, whose shark cage, like you mentioned, Pake, is getting attacked and nearly swallowed. He does all these super badass things, and all of these things that, when you hear about a shark movie starring Jason Statham, I mean, yeah, that, this, the things that happened are the things that I got. And, like you said, some really great moments where he would choose to like sacrifice himself, for everyone else. And I think, it was kind of interesting to see this movie wasn't super deep as far as like character development. That's what Jaws is for. That's where Jaws becomes really great. You've got that really great, deep character development and things like that. It's more character driven. This, not so much. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be. But it was, cool to see how he comes around, where he has kind of hidden himself off from the world after that diving accident. And then he comes back and actually ends up caring about the people that he's with. He cares about all these new people that he's met, and he cares about this little girl and protecting her and keeping a promise to her, and is willing, if he has to, will sacrifice himself, for that. So Jason Statham, just all around awesome. Enjoyed him so much in this movie. I'm so glad that they put him in a shark movie, because I thought, what else can we see from him? And they gave us this. So I'm glad that he was on board for this film. Yeah.
You mentioned the scene of him swimming out to tag the shark by himself. And I just love the him quoting Finding Nemo as he's swimming.
Just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming.
They had so many great lines in this movie, throwaway lines like that it just made it even more fun. I mean, if you weren't laughing or giggling or having a good time at some of those throwaway lines, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but yeah, I love that. Perfect. So
right.
Yeah,
and then
that
was actually my number 2. So I'm going to throw on a couple of extra notes as well, and then I'll let Daphne kind of go around. So I'm skipping the line to finish a point, so then I'm skipping my next one.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, just because talking about Jonas is because I know I had a few. You mentioned, Statham. He does fit that role perfectly as the action hero who's going to put himself in crazy situations, especially that last battle, because I talk about him willing to sacrifice himself in that last battle, but just I wanted to nerd out about that last battle a little bit because it's so cool how they go back to the whale sounds from the beginning of the movie that Suyin mentions about, how they attracted the whales to be there as part of kind of the visual show for when Morris got there. Is so they have these like whale sounds that they use, and they use them to lure the shark away from the beach. And then Jonas and Suyin immediately go to work and like, okay, we got to take him out. And they're kind of double teaming with, all right, you distract him here while I come in with this shot, and then I'll distract him and you come in with this shot. And they really planned that stuff out really well. And then when she has to turn back to take care of well, mainly her daughter, but I mean everybody, because helicopters crashed into the boat because they got to do something to put the group in peril. So why not the most ridiculous thing imaginable? But it's great.
And poor DJ was terrified the entire time.
Oh man, he can't swim. Which I love how, again, Megan, I love that little girl so much. I could just so much, because she's like, just be quiet, shut up, stop. Stop. She's great.
Sophia Kai is amazing.
Yeah.
She did such a great job in that role.
Oh yeah. Just random tangent on her. Yeah, I like her a lot. Just super smart, super funny. 8-year-olds hear everything. Her and Statham's chemistry was awesome. And yeah, Crazy just keeps calling it, hey, Crazy. Crazy guy, right? Love it so much. And she's got a great sense of style. I mean, come on, that pink hoodie, the angel wings, LED light up shoes, remote control ball. I'm like, where does she get all this stuff? I have a young niece who like, I think she could rock this look. Where do I get this stuff? Because that's really cool.
I want her cute little like kitten ear headband that she had on.
Right.
I was like, I'm standing this little girl right now. I love all of her cute fashion choices. I want that little headband of hers.
She's just an icon.
Yeah.
but as her mom goes back for her, so leaves Jonas all alone. And so that's when he decides like, all right, even if this kills me, we're going for it. And he just goes straight, like full on at the Meg and uses a broken like fin on the vessel, I guess is what you call it. Because I want to say wing, but I was like, well, they're underwater, so it's not really a wing. But I don't even know what to call them. They're not boats or ships. I just keep like writing vessel in my notes because like I don't know what to call this thing.
I think it's big enough it qualifies as a shipping vessel. It's okay. Yeah. Go with that.
But yeah, he uses the broken fin part on it to like gut the shark, just like swim, like just go under it and slice it open from the bottom, and then he gets bit, and he kicks out the glass after it's all like cracked from being bit, and just like swims out there. And the whole just super, like you said, superhero was a great way to put it, of him stabbing the shark in the eye with the harpoon as it's jumping up into the air is like superhero moment to the fullest. I think it was great. And then as he thinks, oh no, we're not done yet, then it was just, oh no, it's just become super chum for all the other sharks. And that was a really cool little scene.
I loved that part. Yeah. I loved it. I loved all the sharks coming and eating it. And then the one coming out of the mouth.
Yeah.
At the end. Oh, that was such a great visual.
It was just, it was all great. But yeah. So I know I jumped a line on you, Daphne, but I was like, well, that's my point also. So let me throw in my notes and then we can skip my next and then get to you.
All right.
You are number 2.
My number 2 is actually the character of Su Yin, who was played by Li Bingbing. She was this scientist who wanted to be like her father and make him proud, and spent the whole time, at least the first half of the movie before her father's unfortunate demise, just wanting to live up to this idea she had in her head of making him proud. And, being a parent. She did make some crazy decisions at times, though, that, like when she's in the cage and she's like, oh, leave me. And I'm like, you are a mother. You need to get back to your child. You can't be giving up like that. You've got to fight harder than that.
She took a lot of risks for having a young daughter.
Yeah.
She really did.
And for being like the only parent in her life. Yeah. That concerned me a little bit.
The way her relationship with Jonas changed, too, from the beginning of the movie where she didn't want him there at all and thought he was crazy. And then little by little, she started to warm up to him. And he tried, he was very comforting to her after the loss of her father.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't, one thing I appreciated is, and Pake and I have talked about this in other movies that we've covered, how there is this rush to force and form relationships, like a big love story, and have it play out right at that time in the movie. And I appreciated that while we see that there is some chemistry, and they talk about going on a vacation together at the end, there isn't this, oh, let's have let's end the movie with a kiss.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
let's
big
end the
romantic
movie
kiss,
with them
yeah.
with them being in love. No, it's kind of like, we kind of dig each other. All right. We can see where this goes, but it's not like we're going to get married and be in love forever.
Right.
Which was nice, because I do get a little bored with films that continue to try to throw that in your face as part of an essential part of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want it to feel too forced. And this one makes sense, because if I put myself in like Soo Yin's position, I'm like, at the very least, well, my daughter really seems to like you, so I obviously have to give you some kind of chance.
Yeah. And she was really pushing. I mean, it was funny how she was reacting too, like, you know, I think my mom likes you. And then she'd do her little raised eyebrow thing.
Yeah.
That was super
So
cute.
So cute. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, she was super cute. She was definitely, I think, okay with, you know, those two, you know, being an item or something. So.
Yeah, I also liked when she was telling him, it's not just about the ones you lose, it's also about the ones you save. Because he has been so mired in all the people that he's lost. And he basically, you know, retired to his little slice of heaven, I guess, to get drunk and just, you know, be on his own. Because he was so focused on all the people that he lost. And I like that she kind of pointed that out. And it's after she lost her father that she kind of, you can see that she's kind of glad that he's there. And she does come in to save him kind of at the end. So I thought that was kind of, that was good.
Yeah. Good moment.
But again, I appreciated that they didn't just try to shove them together in this, you know, short time span to have this big romantic love story in the middle of a monster hunt. So I appreciated that. I'm glad that they didn't do that. They let the movie be what it was and not go too far forcing things that didn't need to be forced.
I agree.
I like that.
So I really liked her character. The first time I saw the movie, I didn't like her character as much. It took me like the second or third viewing till I started to warm up to her. And I really liked the dynamic that she had with her father and with her daughter, and that they were this little family. And I like that her dad said at the end that his dream is that Mei Ying will grow up to be like Soo Yin. And I thought that was a kind and sweet way for his character to go out. Telling his daughter things like that. Yeah.
Agreed.
So that was my number 2.
All right.
Excellent.
And we know what mine was. So Rima, we're on number 1.
Well, my number 1 was actually pretty related to your number 2 when you were talking about the shark death. That was definitely tops for me. So I saved it for my number 1. That was...
Stole it.
That's okay. No, that's okay. It was extremely satisfying. I loved it as well. You know, seeing him, how he was able to cut the shark open, like from stem to stern, you know, that was cool. And then he stabs it through the eye.
And that was great.
And then, getting finished off by this swarm of sharks in a feeding frenzy. I mean, it was poetic. Honestly.
Yeah.
And I thought it was perfect. And honestly, as Steve Irwin would say, it was nature's way. So I thought absolutely fitting and poetic the way that it went out. I feel like if that's how a big shark's going to go down, then that's how it's going to go down, you know, and trying to see how they're going to take this thing out. I was just impressed all around with the shark, and, you know, and it was fun the first time. I mean, I've seen this movie countless times. So obviously this last time when I watched it, you know, it was not a surprise. But when I first watched it, thinking like, how the hell are they going to take this thing out, right? What creative way are they going to do it? So it was really fun to get to, you know, to see how they decided to do this. And of course, having Jason Statham, like literally fighting this ginormous prehistoric shark.
So
I mean,
good.
It's Jason Statham. He's going to fight the shark,
Yes.
right? That's what I'm hoping for. As I'm watching, like, he's going to fight the shark, right? But then, you know, getting to see the shark itself, or sharks. I know there were two, but talking about like the big one. And well, they were both big, but the second one, I guess we should say, I wish we had, I mean, I think there were a few missed opportunities. Would have been cool to see it eat one of the helicopters.
Yeah. I kept wondering if that was going to happen the first time.
Plenty of helicopters running around. I thought, are we going to see that? Seeing it maybe come up out of the water a little bit more would have been super cool to like really get, like, I know we saw it when it got the second or the first megalodon that was dead, like when it came and like bit it off basically bit it off of the boat and took the boat down. We got to see a little bit of it then, but I really would have loved to have seen it really breach the water, a little bit more than what it did, but it was super cool. It was super cool to see how it would like chase things and how it kind of that like ripple effect in the water. So I think it got a fitting death. It was kind of sad. I kind of felt bad for the shark, but I was happy to see the other sharks being able to feed. Because I think we need sharks in the world as much as what I am scared of sharks. And, I have a healthy respect for their space. So therefore I don't really go into the ocean that deep. I'm like, I know I'm in their world. And if one bites me, it's my fault, not theirs. It was sad to see kind of what we see a lot of in the world. And I wish we could find a way to ban it and stop it, was the dead sharks that had their fins cut off. The poachers, I think that's terrible. I know that it's like in culture but it's for soup, it's like it's for soup. And, sad. It's terrible. And I think it's disgusting behavior. Sharks, there's not a lot of sharks in the world, and sharks are important for our ecosystem. And, so that made me sad. So it was kind of cool to see the sharks kind of take one of their own kind of out and finish it off, and thought it was appropriate and poetic. So that's
I like that. It's evening the score. I liked that. Yeah, I cheered.
Yeah,
I was really happy when that happened. I'm like, yeah, you go, you do that, you take them down.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, poetic to me anyway. So that's my number one.
Awesome. Daphne, what do you have for number one?
My number one should not be a surprise. It's the Meg itself. Yeah. So it kind of ties to what Rima had to say. Mm-hmm. I loved the way that they filmed certain things and the CGI for this. When the Meg is jumping out of the water and Jonas is driving that stake through its eye, and the splashing, everything. I just loved that. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, they did a good job with it,
Yeah.
Yeah, they really did. I loved when the Meg went into the cove where all the swimmers were.
Oof.
And all the little things that we saw, like moving underwater, dragging the anchors around and banging the rafts, people going flying. Like, I thought that was fantastic.
One of my worst nightmares, but it was great.
Yeah. You're not supposed to cheer for that, but I thought it was great.
Oh no, it was great. That dude in that Zorb ball, that was like one of the best damn...
goodness.
Yeah, best damn scenes. I totally laughed, and I'm like, I shouldn't laugh at that, but I think it's funny.
Can't help
when
it. He's running away, he's trying to get away, and he can't. And then so the Meg pops it, and then under the water, like 2 seconds later, you can see the remnants of that plastic ball.
Yep.
In its mouth, like just a little bit. And
the detail was great because they even had like missing sunscreen in the water. You could see all that sunscreen on the floor of the ocean, because they were kind of in the shallows a little bit there. All that was great. That attention to detail was really cool to see.
I was glad that we didn't get another Alex Kintner situation with the little boy and the popsicle.
With his popsicle.
Like, please don't give us that. We don't need to be dealing with that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the death scene at the end, the way that they gutted the Meg and then all of the little sharks. One other part too was when Jack Morris was meeting his end, when they all just left him there basically when he fell out of the boat.
Oh yeah.
He thinks he's made it, even though, it kind of looks like he's going to die, and then he doesn't right away. And then the shark comes in, and the Meg comes in and takes him out, which I cheered for that, too. I thought that was wonderful.
Good scene. Yeah. In his hand, did you see after the shark chomped him? Like you just see his hand, like where he's clutching onto the side of the whale. I was like, oh my god, that's so good.
It was great. It was so good. So I loved all of that. I thought that it was really well done, and I liked this movie again for it not taking itself too seriously, but it was serious enough in the parts that it needed to be.
Yeah.
And we lost characters, and there were close calls with other characters. So it definitely was, it had a little tension at times, and I'm good with that. I really liked it. And yeah, the Meg. The reason I went to see this movie is because of the Meg, and it did not disappoint me. So totally. I was happy with that. So, Pake, that brings us to your number one.
Well, we're all going to just be falling right in line here, because that is also my number one, is the Meg.
Well, there's enough shark to go around for everyone. In
parentheses, there's an S, Megs.
Megs. Yep.
But yeah, our first actual, because we get the thing at the beginning with the attack, we don't see anything. So the first time we see the first Meg is, of course, when Suyin is down under the trench, and there's this very giant squid that has gotten in her way.
Oh god, yeah,
crushing or whatever. But then our friend the Meg Ryan, comes in and takes care of that problem. So I'll name the first one. Yeah, the Megalodon, which it's drawn to lights, which makes a rescue mission in pitch black depths really tricky. So I thought that was really cool that they were like trying to find ways around that. And yeah, just a lot of like little tension, because of course then we find out it follows them up through the barrier and now kind of on a rampage, normal waters, but it stops by the Mano one at first with one of the best like tense scenes of the whole thing is when Mei Ying is kind of wandering the station, and then the Meg Ryan appears outside of the window, is biting the glass and stuff and just scaring the crap out of her. And then finally when Suyin and Jonas show up, they're like, well, where is this thing? And then, R.I.P. to Gracie and Lucy, the whales.
That made me very sad.
That was super sad. That had a tearful moment there. Yeah, sad about the whales.
And then I do like, there's also another little, like, we mentioned details, is during the cage dive, and the wall is dumping all of the chum and everything in there. And then, of course, the chum's going to attract a bunch of other sharks first. And then all of those sharks just, like, swim away and vanish. They get the hell out of there because Meg Ryan's on its way. And that's what you notice, like, that's what, because they do it a couple of times when Morris is on the whale. Or when he's watching the whale and there's all these other sharks are going at it. And he's like, oh, that's so... And then they just vanish. They're out of there. And then that's when they realize, like, oh, it's a whale. It's a whale. Oh, and then there's like, because he's seen this before with that chumming. So that's where he realizes the mistake that they made. And so Meg shows up, gets a nice little whale carcass snack, nice Morris topping on it, which is fun. But yeah, they, Suyin is revived. They kind of get there and they have the Meg Ryan. So I keep calling it. I don't know why, but I like it.
Are you going to call the other one Meg White?
How did you know?
Because
you stole it. You knew. I was trying to find a good one. I was like, well, Meg White, because this one really rocks.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, the first one is all strapped up, dead, and I love DJ scaring the wall into the water, joking around, and all these things. But then Jonas even notices, like, bite marks aren't adding up. Something's going on, and then just like, bam, second, way bigger Meg White appears. Takes the wall, the shark, and flips the boat over all in one motion. And so yeah, just all these like details that they throw in, like I said, with the shark scattering or different things with chumming was really cool. And then just the sharks themselves, super fun. You mentioned the attack on the bay, which a lot of it was just like very entertaining. But the most terrifying of that is when you see it, like the Meg just like tearing through people like schools of fish, like the way that like a shark would like, manipulate the way people are swimming in order to round them up into schools. Like it was doing it with people. And I was like, holy shit, that's actually really terrifying and disturbing.
Yeah. 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 That shark woke up and chose violence. But what was cool was that they didn't have it portrayed as like some monster hellbent on like any type of like revenge. It was, for the most part, behaving like a shark. Like it was attracted to the vibrations and noises, the whale noise. It was behaving like a shark. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just coming after you for the sake of coming after you kind of thing. So it felt a little bit more, at least in that part, kind of realistic. It wasn't like, oh, it's just out to get us. It's like, nope, it's just behaving like a shark, So
yeah.
So I liked that too.
All right, awesome. Well, does anybody have Rima and then Daphne? Any other extra notes?
I had just a few that we haven't talked about already, and that is one of my favorite lines when Rainn Wilson's character, when they're talking about, well, how are we going to find it? It's going out into like open water, and he's like, why don't you just put a tracker on it? And he's like, don't you guys ever watch Shark Week? I was like, yes, thank you.
Oh god,
have you never watched Shark
for this?
Yeah, absolutely perfect.
Yeah,
I rejoiced and said yes, thank you for one, bringing the common sense, and two, for bringing Shark Week into it. If you've ever watched Shark Week, how many programs do we watch every year on Shark Week where they're tagging sharks? I've seen, I don't know, there was a show, and I'm not going to try and think of it because I know I'll spin my wheels here for a couple of minutes trying to do it. But there was a particular show that I used to watch quite often that was a diving team, and a team that they had this special boat. It was so cool that they could capture sharks and lift it up kind of out of the water. But at the same time, they would have like this hose going out. This is all very simplistic how I'm explaining it. It was definitely more sophisticated, but this hose to keep so the shark could continue to breathe. And then they would like tag them and do these things so they could track their movements and stuff in the Gulf of Mexico, and they would release them. I'm like, have you never watched any of that? Not only is it on Shark Week, but this was like a whole program and stuff. So yeah, that was just a great line from him. And again, his delivery of it was exceptional. And then Pippin.
Oh my gosh.
Pippin the dog.
I had that in my notes just in case.
I knew.
But I knew you would.
Pippin, got a shout out to Pippin the dog. And if I have to explain to anyone what the hell that means, then we are not friends.
Yep.
But we got Pippin the dog. Loved that. He survived. No thanks to Jason Statham, who's clearly a cat person, since he can't be bothered to scoop Pippin up out of the water as they pass him as he's swimming back to the boat. But we did get a live Pippin.
What, that poor dog had to escape that terrible wedding, okay?
Oh, okay.
On that boat.
Yeah.
That dog, I do not blame that dog, because that wedding looked like it was a high maintenance affair and kind of a crapshoot, and I couldn't blame the dog for just trying to get away.
Hell, it looked like even some of either the attendees or the people that were in the bridal party wanted to escape. They were all jumping in the water too. So
yeah. So in my world, I just imagine that Jonas was going by the dog, and the dog, they just had a moment, and he decided, no, I'm not going to hurry and get this poor dog back to the wedding, because the dog's not really wanting to go there, but he's getting a little tired.
Yeah.
Probably has to go back to the boat. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because
oh, hell yeah.
Pippin was on my list too, because I was very happy. I was worried that it was going to go, the way of Pippet, the dog, in Jaws. And I'm like, no, don't do this to me again.
Oh, yeah.
And luckily they didn't.
Yeah. He was the saddest casualty for me in Jaws by far than anyone. So.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yep. And that's all my notes. We've talked about everything else. So.
Well, then Pippet, that's got to be on purpose.
Totally.
Kind of was, I think. It had to be.
Mm-hmm. So you said that was
that was all my notes. Yep.
Daphne, did you have any extra?
Most of my notes were just basically, I really liked some of the, what I call secondary auxiliary characters, like Jax, played by the amazing Ruby Rose.
Mm-hmm. I love Ruby Rose.
She's just great. It was great to see Masioka again in a role. Loved him on Heroes way back. Gosh, I can't even remember when Heroes came out. It was in the late 2000s, I think. Loved seeing him. The guy who played the Wall, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name because I do not want to butcher it. But he played a much more serious character in Nosferatu. But I really enjoyed his comic relief in this. You know, he was kind of comic for as long as he lasted. He was kind of comic relief in this one. And yeah, I think, you know, I thought it was visually a stunning movie, and I loved most of the characters. I thought they were fun. They weren't too deep. I did like this one thing from Dr. Zhang, who was Suyin's father, where he said, we did what people always do, discover and then destroy, which is true. It's usually,
Yep.
As soon as you see it, it's not about studying it. It's just about tearing it apart. So, yeah, that's pretty much all that I have for my notes.
Awesome. I just had a few little things again with the cast, as you mentioned. The ones that you didn't mention that I had was Mac, with Cliff Curtis.
Oh, I love Cliff Curtis. Yes. He was so good. The way he kept eyeballing Jason Statham and making those like knowing smiles, like, yeah, I know you're into, you know, but he wouldn't say it.
I did like that.
I love him.
He's
so
great
good.
in stuff like Push and Fear the Walking Dead back when it was a lot better.
Yes. Back in the good days. Back in the good days.
And also he's incredible in Dr. Sleep. Me and Rima covered that a while back.
Yeah, he's really good in that.
His character in that is awesome. So yeah, love Cliff Curtis. And then the guy who played DJ, his name is Paige Kennedy. And he hasn't done a whole lot. He's very under the radar. This is probably the biggest thing he's done. But I'm a big Rhett and Link from YouTube stuff, Good Mythical Morning. And they had a YouTube series called Buddy System. And he was in that and abso-freaking-lutely hilarious in that as well. So I hope that he gets like more and more stuff because he's very talented and very funny.
Definitely. Yeah. He was great. What else do you have, Paige?
Well, I was going to see if I had anything else, really. Other than, just a couple of extra little tension things. Jax and the Wall both getting knocked into the water at different points to build tension, but then, like, nothing happening. And it's just like, but they're all right, though.
And that's a good point. No one can stay on a boat in this movie. It's like a drinking game. Take a drink every time someone falls off the water. Or falls off the boat,
It's like the lead character, Bridget Fonda's character in Lake Placid. She was always falling off the boat.
Falling, tripping, or falling off the boat. Yep,
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Same thing.
She was great in that.
I thought that too, Pake. When DJ was standing up ranting about losing his friends and everything, he's standing up on top of the overturned boat. I'm thinking, oh my God, it's going to come up and take him. I just, that's when I felt tension.
Yeah. Then so the most important part of the ending, Pippin is fine. We talked about that. And then I like the very ending of the movie with the little ending title card with Finn. I thought that was really clever.
Yeah. Because you're expecting like another shark or, for it to be like open-ended or something, but then they're just like, Finn.
They dive into the deeps a little bit. There's some ominous music in the water. It makes you think like, ooh, could there be more down there? And there's like, it's just over.
Yeah. And that actually means the end in French. So it actually does. Yes. Yeah.
However, I was looking on IMDb and it looks like they do have a possible sequel in production.
Yeah, there is something.
I've got some info on that in my production notes.
So I'll let you get to that thing because I don't know much of anything about it. But
Yeah.
But that's all the other notes I had as well. So then, Daphne, let's get in it because now I'm curious and I'm sure that will be in the production notes.
I'm excited.
So what you got for us?
All right. So this film is one of those that was in development hell for quite some time. Walt Disney Studios purchased the rights in 96, but they couldn't come up with a script that they liked. So in 99, the rights reverted back to the author. In 2005, New Line Cinema was working on it, but it got canceled due to budgetary concerns. Finally, when the rights landed at Warner Brothers, production began in 2015. As I mentioned earlier, this movie was based on a book by Steve Alton. The novel goes into more detail about megalodons. In the book, Megalodons are pure white, almost luminescent from living in a light-free environment, and this was not conveyed in the film due to the difficulty to render it realistically in CGI. So they made it look more like a great white shark, which I thought was effective.
Mm-hmm. Scared the hell out of me.
Yeah. In the book, the Meg only surfaces at night since the sunlight would likely hurt its eyes, since there's that general lack of sunlight at the deeper sea levels. The visual effects were by Sony Imageworks, Image Engine, and Scanline VFX. When the first model was created using the correct shark proportions, it was too small. Turtletaub wanted a fatter shark with smaller eyes and a larger dorsal fin. He wanted it to look gnarled, textured, aggressive, moody, and dark. Most definitely not a great white. And the VFX supervisor spent months with his teams refining the shape and proportions of the Meg. For the giant squid sounds, I thought this was kind of funny. The sound editors parked a car in a quiet location at Warner Brothers and put microphones inside the car. Then they went outside of the car and used a couple of different types of plungers and started plunging the windshield. I thought that was awesome. That was quick. Yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
Creative with the sound effects and what if you see some of the behind the scenes things of those people that record all those sound effects, it's hilarious. So that's very creative and a fun fact there.
Yeah. A scary note, actress Ruby Rose, who plays Jax, nearly drowned on the set when they were filming the scene where she fell overboard and had to swim back to the boat. They were wearing a layer of thermals under their clothes, the folks that were in the water, and made it very difficult to swim.
Oh, God.
So that was, I'm like, ooh, scary. It was considered a co-production under Chinese regulations, which meant it was not subject to the same quota system revenue sharing agreements that are normally applied to imported films. Eli Roth, as I mentioned before, was involved and was going to direct the film, but he left mostly because he wanted a bigger budget, an R rating, and then there was this rumor that he also wanted to play the lead. No, it has to be Jason Statham or no one else. I'm sorry.
Yeah, had to be Statham.
You're not Jonas. The author, Steve Alton, his daughter appeared as an extra in the film. And a sequel, Meg 2, The Trench, is currently in development. It will be directed by Benjamin Wheatley, who has not done a ton of directing. It is based on Alton's second book of the series, titled The Trench. And Jason Statham has stated that filming is expected to begin in January 2022.
Statham attached?
So coming right up. Yes.
Oh.
He is slated to star in it, as is Li Bingbing, who played Su Yin. And I don't think the rest of the cast has been fleshed out yet, but those two are definitely coming back.
We'll see if they had that vacation or not.
Yeah.
Part of me is like, I'd love to see Paige Kennedy back, because I was just saying how much we should get new stuff, but for the sake of his character, I hope he's not, because he said he was done and quitting. Let him just have some peace.
Let him work on dry land. He just needs to stay on land.
Yeah. Unless he's learned to swim, he needs to stay away. No, don't. Yeah. A few of the others I think would probably, I'd love to see Ruby Rose's Jax come back, because I think she has all the tech that, I feel like she did a great job with that. And Sophia Kai, who played Mei Ying, has not been in very many. I think she's been in 3 things. So, yes, please bring her back.
Definitely
let
bring her
her
back.
Be in this movie.
She was the charm of this movie, and she also had, I think, the best jokes. So, yeah, definitely need to have her back.
Imagine Mei Ying as a teenager.
I think that
could be quite funny.
Yeah,
I think she could be giving them a really hard time, and I think that could make for some fun dialogue. So that's all I have for production notes.
All right.
Awesome.
And time to do some quotes, if we have any extra fun quotes and stuff that we liked. Rima, did you have anything extra?
No, I gave mine. The whole Shark Week line was my favorite of all. So yeah, I'm tapped out.
All right, Daphne.
Okay, so I have a couple. I loved the monologue that Jonas gave at the beginning when Dr. Zhang and Matt came to try to convince him to come to the Mariana Trench and on the rescue mission. I love what he said. Hey, I mean, no offense, Dr. Zhang. I mean, if there was 2 people on this planet that could get me back into the water, it's probably you 2, but you can't. You're going to tell me your problem, and I'll say no. You're going to offer me money. I'll still say no. You're going to appeal to my better nature, and I'm going to say no, because I don't have one. So I liked that. I liked that because it kind of gave us insight into his headspace right from the start. Yeah. And I appreciated that. My next one, after Jonas barely makes it back to the boat after trying to inject the Meg with the tracker, Heller says to him, "You might be a son of a bitch, but you're sure as hell no coward." Which I liked that. And then this one's from The Wall. After dumping Chum into the ocean, after Jonas and Suyin go down in the carbonite cages, he says, "Thank you. Bye-bye. Good luck." And I thought that was kind of funny. And then this one, the helicopter pilot who is dropping the depth charges has, Jack Morris has said, "Are you sure the Meg is dead? Are you sure it's dead?" And the helicopter pilot says, "Affirmative, sir." "Well, there's pieces of it all over the place." Well, it was all over his face. Yeah. Like there were chunks of it all over his face. So I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
And then I had 1 or 2 Mei Ying quotes. A bunch we've already talked about. But there's one where she's first meeting Jonas. And Jonas says to her, "I'm not crazy. I've just seen things no one else has." And she says to him, "That's the definition of crazy." And then from that point on, she was calling him crazy. It was always, "Hey, crazy, hey, crazy." So, yeah, so those are my quotes that I liked. Pake, what do you have?
All right. I have a few. Oh, you're on the Mei Ying one, because I noticed you're in there, but you didn't say it. So awesome, because I can. Just the one that builds that tension after that scene that I talked about with the Meg at the window. And whenever Jonas and Suyin show up and she says, "There's a monster and it's watching us." And I thought that was just real creepy. Yes. Like, oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a great one while we see Jonas on his vacation, so to speak, and the captain that's renting the boat from him or something. That's what I put together. Because he needs to fix the boat up, but then the boat captain tells him, "You drink too much." He says, "You're only saying that because I literally have a beer in my hand." Because you always have beer in your hand. And you know why? And he goes, "Because I drink too much." I liked that. You mentioned the Shark Week line. I love that one. So the other one is between Morris and DJ after the boat gets flipped over and DJ's kind of flailing around in the water. Morris goes, "What is wrong with you?" He goes, I can't swim." He goes, "Now get out of here." "Really?" He goes, "No pulling racist stuff on me." And he pulls him up on, he goes, "Come on, man, nothing racist. You work literally in the middle of the ocean." To where he responds, "This wasn't part of the job description."
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? It takes me back, and I know I told this story when we covered Jaws. My dad was a lobster fisherman and he couldn't swim. Mm-hmm. Like he just couldn't. I mean,
it astounds me. But yeah.
Yeah, you would think it's like, okay, your job is being on the water. That's an important thing to know, but
yes, yeah, you would think. You would think.
But maybe your dad was kind of similar to where DJ's, "Oh, life jacket." That's what his plan was like. If I have a life jacket, I'm fine.
It helps.
Yeah.
All right. If that is all we have for quotes, then it'll be time to give some ratings to the movie. Ooh, this will be interesting. Who goes first?
It always is. Well, our guest always goes first.
Well, so look, what I wanted I wanted a movie where Jason Statham punches a shark on the nose to death. And what I got, a movie where Jason Statham stabs a shark in the eye to death. For me, 10 out of 10, not even mad.
Bring Rima on to talk about a shark movie. It's gonna be a 10.
Usually, there's a couple
I've gonna be a 10.
There's a couple I've seen. Look, on the fun scale, that's what it is for me. Is this something deep and heavy? No, but on the fun scale for me, it was definitely a 10. I've seen other shark movies that are not so great, so not all of them are. This was fun. This was just fun.
Sharknado 14 and a half.
Yeah. I'm okay.
Whatever there are now.
My goodness.
10. No,
I am okay with that. I would not give any of those a 10, but this was fun. It gave me what I wanted, and I'm a happy girl. So,
all right, Daphne.
Oh, you're gonna make me go second. Okay, I can handle that. I love this movie because we've already talked about it. It doesn't apologize for what it is. It gives you something fun. It's a great popcorn movie, and it's something that, I've seen this movie a bunch of times. So I am going to give it a solid 8.
Pretty close to where I'm at.
So Pake.
Because I would land right where you are, except for, again, the beginning part that just will utterly confuse me forever.
Oh, goodness.
But it doesn't dip it down that much. Because, I land 7.9. So,
okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Yeah. You're not going to let that go about the beginning, are you?
You know how I am.
Oh, my goodness. Listen to a future episode, because if I can track down something to explain this, I will. And then he'll have to change his ranking.
Oh, man. Well, thank you so much, Rima, for coming on and talking with us. And it was awesome to have you here.
Thank you so much. This was a blast. Yeah. I really do enjoy this movie, and it was hilarious that when you guys asked me, I think just a couple of days before you had asked if I would like to join you for this one, I had just watched The Meg. Like, it was just on TV, and I'm like, well, I have to sit and watch this, and just kind of have it on. So I was like, oh my gosh, it was just really great timing. So I really appreciate you guys asking me. I always have a blast guesting with you guys. So appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
Well, we're always happy to have you join us. And we did the planning for this one way back. So I think I asked you to come on for this back in
might
April,
have,
because we were planning ahead for cool things. We do our holiday specials, and of course we have to celebrate Shark Week.
It's a holiday,
it makes sense, right?
Week in my house. So yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything that you would love to throw out there and everything while we have you?
Oh gosh, you know what? Yeah, I guess I should, huh? I guess I should plug our podcast, Pake. I kind of always forget to do that. So, well, yeah, I love if all of your listeners, if they're not already, and if you're not, then why aren't you? But listen to me and Pake over on Strange Indeed, which you can find us on Podcastica network. But we are currently covering Lisey's story on Apple TV, and like you mentioned, Daphne, the finale is getting ready to air. So, we're having a good time with that one. So we'd love to have more listeners join us. And what we're going to be covering next, if that's not your kind of show, after Lisey's story, we're going to cover Sweet Tooth. That was on Netflix. Now it's already been out, so folks may have already watched it. So maybe it'll be a rewatch for some folks. But we'd love to have, if that's more your type of show, that's what we're going to cover next.
Yes, so I'm excited. I've been loving Lisey's story. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been great.
Also super excited to start Sweet Tooth because it's kind of a tonal difference, a little shift. But I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we like to change things up. So yeah, it'll be a little bit different. But yeah, it's been fun trying to figure out Lisey's story with you, Pake. And thankfully we've had some of Daphne's great insight to help us along too. So yeah, it's been fun.
I've got some more stuff to add, but I'm really excited that you guys are doing Sweet Tooth. I know Pake has been waiting.
I know. He's been just waiting this whole time. He's been so patient. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about Strange Indeed is if the show that you guys are covering isn't someone's cup of tea, you just wait a few weeks and you'll cover something different. And they're usually, there's something for everyone. There's usually a show that
we've definitely covered. I mean, we even covered Great British Bake Off last year. So we've literally pretty much covered about everything from the, across the spectrum a little bit. So yeah, go out and check out what we've got out there. And, we'd love to have, everyone on board. So thanks.
Yeah. And always thanks for coming on, and I'll talk to you soon over on Strange Indeed.
Absolutely. Better.
Oh my goodness. You know what that is.
That would be the feedback phone. Let's see what people have to
wonder
say.
what people have to say about this one.
All right. And this week is a quick feedback week. We only have one little thing, which that's okay. Sometimes that's how it goes. And it is from our good friend Steve. So he did come through for us with some live Steving, maybe, because he didn't last week. So
I know. So that was different for us. I wasn't sure what to think about it. It was great feedback, but not what we're used to.
Yeah.
Because Steve's been live Steving for us from the beginning.
Just about, yeah. I think so. But either way, live Steving or classic Steving, we get some Steving, and that's always a treat. So yeah,
it is. So let's go ahead and play this and hear what Steve had to say about the Meg.
Hey, Run for Your Lives. I think Pake, Daphne, and Rima this week. Yeah. The Meg, man, I went and saw this movie in the theater. I went to an IMAX, saw it on the huge screen. Jason Statham, Jason Statham. Did I say his name right? Yeah. Anyway, The Transporter. Man, I remember it being great. I have not watched it since that initial viewing in the theater, and my life is crazy these next couple of weeks. So I can't live Steve it. I may try to live Steve it and send it to you later, for a later podcast. But man, I remember really enjoying it. And it really was my first, I think it really was my first experience with really focusing in on a kaiju movie. Is that the right way to say it? Yeah. These gigantic monster flicks. I never was. I mean, obviously I knew Godzilla and I'd seen Godzilla movies, and I just never really got into them before. But really the Meg, I think was one that implanted in my brain. And then when this current, now what we have with Godzilla and Kong and the Monsterverse, is just been great. So can't wait to hear you guys talk about it. I will definitely be listening when I come back. All right, guys. Yeah, excited for this one. Talk to you later.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Steve. And yeah, so you've been busy. That totally makes sense. And thank you so much for sending in any feedback at all. I'm glad that you love this movie. So yeah, hope you enjoyed listening to this episode. And yeah, if you ever want to live Steve it and send it to us, we'll play it, and we always love to hear that.
Absolutely. We can even have maybe that week a double dose of live Steving.
Mm-hmm.
That's something we haven't had on this podcast before, I don't think. I can't remember, Pake.
So. I think we got that on Strange Indeed a couple of weeks ago, but that would be a first for here, I think.
Yeah. And it's hard for me to remember because, my goodness, this is episode number 48 for us.
Oh, man. It's crazy.
I know.
So for anyone who would like to leave us feedback like Steve did this week, there's a lot of different ways to do that. Of course, like I say every week, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/runforyourlivespodcast. Send us any messages or comment on our posts there. We always make posts about what movies we're covering, so you can have a place to leave us some feedback. Of course, you can email us and send us your voicemails through email is usually the best way. You get a little voice recorder app or something on your phone, email us that. That's what Steve does. And you can do that at runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. We're on Twitter at RFYL Podcast and Instagram at Run For Your Lives Podcast, where you can also comment on different posts that we make every week there. And yeah, if you're enjoying the show, above all, just tell your friends, share the love. You can send anyone to runforyourlivespodcast.com. And you can get links to all of the social media stuff, plus all of podcast players, YouTube, anything like that. You can go rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars. Give us a fun review. We always appreciate that. That always helps get us out there for sure.
Yes, we do. We appreciate your support every week when you listen to us and tell your friends. So please keep it up. We are loving it. Thanks, guys.
And then in the podcast universe around us going on, not a whole lot right now, but of course, as Rima and me talked about a little bit earlier, which again, thanks Rima for being here. She wasn't here for the feedback section real quick, but we had a blast talking with her, of course. So always give Rima some love. The best way to do that is check me and her out over on Strange Indeed, like we talked about earlier, covering Sweet Tooth soon. It'll be a lot of fun. And of course, TV Podcast Industries, our good friend Derek, which we need to get back on here sometime as well.
We do. Sure. He's got to pick another movie.
Yes.
We've got to get him back here. You know what? There was an Irish movie. I messaged him not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
There is an Irish movie that came out, and I told him about it. I think I need to check in with him.
Yeah.
About that.
Derek, you're listening. Get back with us.
Yeah. We definitely want to have you back on, Derek. And we can't wait until, Attack the Block. The second Attack the Block comes out.
Yeah.
You've got to come back soon.
Yes. And of course, Derek with TV Podcast Industries, they're still covering The Bad Batch over on Disney Plus for you Star Wars fans. And then our good friend Ben on his Wilhelm podcast. New episode up this week. Him and Wendy talk about their top 5 mob or mafia movies. And so if you're a fan of that kind of stuff, definitely check that out. Wilhelm is such a great podcast. And for any kind of actors, directors, genres, different styles of movies, they break down things really well over there. And yeah, Ben is just great to listen to on nerding out about movies. So check that out for sure.
You guys had so much fun a couple weeks ago when you talked about all things Edgar Wright.
Yeah,
that was such a great episode.
Oh, yeah. But then next week, right here on this podcast, Run for Your Lives, we got something fun for you. Daphne, what is that?
Next week, we are excited to break down the characters and story of A Quiet Place 2. The Abbott family tries to move on while still tackling the alien creatures with their new amplifier weapon, all while searching for a new safe haven.
It's going to be a fun one.
It is, and it's a new one. It's a newer movie. It came out in May. We thought we were going to have to wait even longer for it, but good old John Krasinski, he moved it up, so we were able to watch it in May, so that is great.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys have seen it or plan to see it, we're going to be talking about it next week.
So send us that feedback in all the ways that I told you earlier. Who was paying attention? There's your test.
So this is episode number 48 for us. And you guys all know that once we get to milestone episodes, we like to go back and take a look at all the movies that we covered in the last 20 to 25 bunch of films and pick some of our favorite things out of them, like favorite monsters, characters, and movies / podcasts themselves.
Yeah.
So we're getting close. So Pake and I just wanted to ask all of you to be thinking about it, because we want to know what some of your favorite things were.
Absolutely.
Like monsters, characters, movies.
Yeah. What's some of your favorite stuff that we've done in the past 25-ish episodes?
Yeah. Let us know, is there an episode that we did that you really liked the most? Because we totally would love to hear, why you liked it. And yeah, we're really excited to be reaching another milestone and having been podcasting for a year. I mean, it's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So we're both really excited. And then we'll also be covering a movie from a series that we cover once about every 25 episodes.
Yes.
So
Tremors 3 is coming up. For those of you who aren't in the know. Yeah.
Yes.
These milestones come with before the look back episode, we get a Tremors episode. So
yes. So excited. I've only seen the first 3.
Uh-huh.
So I'm excited to talk about Tremors 3. So our next episode is A Quiet Place 2, followed by Tremors 3, and then it will be our look back episode. So please be thinking now of what some of your favorite things were, because we definitely want to be able to read that out or share that with all of the listeners.
Yeah.
in the near future. So that's the plan, guys.
Gonna be a lot
Coming
of fun.
up on another milestone. And with that, we've reached the end of another fun episode. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And if you have to run or swim from a 75-foot prehistoric predatory shark that's come through the thermocline to wreak havoc on you and your loved ones, you'd better run or swim for your lives.
Bye-bye.